one day, minding my own business, when all of a sudden I hear, help, help! And I'm wondering, where is that coming from? And I'm looking over here, and I'm looking over there, and I'm not seeing anybody yelling, help, help! And then I realize, it's coming from the bog. And I don't want to go into the bog. You ever been in a bog? Bog's like a big swamp, and it's all smelly and stinky, and it's got mud, it's got snakes, it's got frogs, and it's got bugs. Not a pleasant place to be at all. But the real reason I didn't want to go into the bog was because the bog crow lives there. You know the bog crow, right? You know? The bog crow is Babba Knobby Knees. And she's a witch. And I know a lot of really nice witches. She's not one of them. But she does make very good medicine. She makes spider stew. You ever had spider stew?
I have.
I know you have, because you're a very smart man. Spider stew is a very real medicine of my day. It's called the Southern Remedy. And what you do is this. You start off with a whole pail full of snails. And you mush them all up. And you put them in a bag. And you let all the juices drip down into a bowl. And then you add ground up earthworms. And then you add spider webs, because spider webs catch disease, you know. And then you add a whole bunch of boring herbs and spices. And you mix it all up together, and you let it sit for 8 days until there's a green froth on the top. And then you scoop off the green froth, and what's left is your spider stew. It's your sovereign remedy, and little kids are supposed to take a spoonful of it every morning. Would you like that? You don't look like you like that. I don't know. How does it taste, Andrew?
That's good.
It tastes good? Like what?
Like chicken.
Like chicken. Everything tastes like chicken. I've got a story about that if it ever happened. Well, anyway, I'm walking in the forest. I look at the bog. The sound of help, help is coming from the bog. And I go in, and certainly there is the bog crow. And she's standing at her cauldron, and she's making spider stew. And in her hand, she has this creature, and she's about to throw him into the pot. I run right up to her and I say, Babba Knobby Knees, you're not going to put him in the pot, are you? And she says, oh, I have to. I said, why? She says, well, I'm all out of my usual ingredient, and I'm going to use the what's-this as a substitute. And I said, but he's yelling, help, help. She said, don't be silly, what's-this can't talk. And I said, well, I'm hearing him talk. She said, well, she says, I don't hear him talk, and that's that. I'm going to put him in the pot. And I said, why are you putting him in the pot? She says, because I don't have my usual ingredient. I said, well, what's your usual ingredient? She says, my usual ingredient is mountain troll toenails. And I said, so why don't you have mountain troll toenails? She says, because the mountain troll lives all the way up on that mountain, and it's a long climb, and my knees are very crabby today, and I don't want to go. And I said, well, if I go up and get some mountain troll toenails for you, will you not cook the what's-this? And she said, oh, all right, but hurry up. I can't let this sit too long. So I went running all the way up to the mountain. And there in front of the mountain troll's cave was the mountain troll himself. And he was cutting his toenails. So he didn't make a mess inside his cave, you know. Because if you step on toenail clippings, they're kind of ouchy. So I went up to the mountain troll. I said, mountain troll, can I have some of your toenails, please? Very polite mountain troll, you know, mountain trolls. And he said, what are you going to pay me? I said, I gotta pay you for toenails? And he says, well, the bog crow always pays me. I said, okay, what do you want to be paid? He says, I think I'd like to have some ogre earwax for lunch today. I said, ogre earwax? I said, where do I find an ogre? He said, well, over on the next mountain, of course, that's where he lives. So I went all the way down the mountain. I went all the way up the next mountain, and there was the ogre stomping around picking up slugs for lunch. I said to the ogre, now you got to be very, very careful around ogres, you know, because they're not polite enough. They stomp you like this. So I went up to the ogre and I said, Mr. Ogre, could I have some earwax, please? And he said, how much are you going to pay me? He's a mercenary up in those mountains. I said, well, what do you want? And he said, well, I've collected these lovely slugs for lunch. I think I'd like to have some eel slime to go with it. I said, eel slime? That sounds delicious. I said, where do I find eel slime? He says, well, from the pond down there at the bottom of the mountain. He said, all the way at the bottom of the mountain? He says, yes. So I went all the way down to the bottom of the mountain, and there was the pond with eels in it. I don't know if you know this about eels. They're just like cats. If you flatter them, they'll do anything for you. So I went down to the edge of the pond and I said, here, eel. Come here, eel. Oh, pretty, 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 pretty eel. And the eel came swimming right over to me. And I said, oh, what a sweet little eel. Can I scratch your little head? And the eel came up so I could scratch his little head. And then I said, oh, I bet you got an even prettier tummy than a back. They can see a pretty tummy. And the eel flipped herself right over. And I reached down and I said, can I give you a little tickle on the tummy? And the eel sort of nodded. So I reached down and I gave her a little scritch, scritch, scritch on the tummy. When I did that, I got a whole great big handful of eel slime. And I said, thank you very much, eel. You can go now. And the eel made a pouty face at me. I think she wanted me to take her home, but I don't have any place to keep her. So I went running all the way back up the mountain again. And I went back to the ogre and I said, okay, I have your eel slime. And the ogre said, well, put it on my slugs. So I put it on the slugs and he said, yum, gravy. And he got a nice big scoop of earwax for me. And I reached down, I got a skunk cabbage leaf, and I wrapped it up all nice and neat. And I said, thank you very much for being very, very, very polite around ogres. And I went all the way down the mountain, all the way up the next mountain again, back to the mountain troll. I said, here, mountain troll, here, I have your earwax. And he said, well, look at this. It's all wrapped up like sushi. Isn't that a nice? You didn't tell me you were a gourmet cook. And I said, yes, I've been cooking on the stars. And he said, well, this is very nice. And he gave me a nice big bag of toenail clippings. And I went running all the way back down the mountain again. And I got back to where the boghorn was. And she was still standing at her pot. And I said, here, I have the toenails. And I didn't see the whatsis. I said, boghorn, here's the whatsis. And she said, I cooked them. And I said, no! She says, I'm only kidding. It was just taking you so long. I thought I'd teach you a lesson. And she reached in her pocket. She got me the whatsis. And he's been sitting on my shoulder ever since. And that's the story of how I got Roscoe the whatsis. Now be sure before you leave today to give him a little scritch, 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 okay? And he'll give you a dragon spear in return. Promise? Okay.